We're going to do that tour of publishing Survey123, and then we're going to go to ArcGIS Online, see what happens. Then we're going to go to ArcGIS Pro, see what happens. We're going to go back to Survey123, make some changes, and see what breaks. It's going to break on purpose, and we're going to know how to fix it. So that's what we're doing today. So last week, what we did is we did the family address book. Oh, we did the media folder, or the media thumbnail right here. So I'm going to open this up, and then we're going to go forward. And Britt, if you have any trouble, we can always talk afterwards. There, we're going to do smartphone for today. And then we went through all of this last week, all the sidebar, the bottom bar, and this sidebar over here. And then what we're going to do is click that Excel file, XLSForm, right there at the top. And this is what it looks like. Now, if you are looking at the handouts, we're going to go into the day 2, or if you're on the old version, just go scroll all the way down until you see published for the first time. And that's what we're going to work on today. I'm going to bring this back over here, and we're just going to follow that. So we went through what our survey looks like. We added some fun pieces over here in the zip. Remember that? That was a lot of fun. The HTML code. And then down here, we have some hyperlinks, and then we have the version. And the version is so that you can troubleshoot in a really good way. And then up here, this was cool code, because that was the first piece of code that I had to do. And I figure if it was the first one I did 8 years ago, it's probably going to be one of your first ones. And what this is good for is if you need to re-inspect something after they go out and do their inspection today, maybe for nesting birds, maybe you do 7 days, or if you're waiting for a crew to come out and do some veg management, maybe it's 15 days, 17 days, and then somebody needs to come out and do a re-inspection. That's what that's for. And the calculations are all in your survey. So you have everything getting going. And then what we want to do is I'm going to open this a little bigger. So now that that's ready, now we need to hit publish. And we always go left to right. So we can come over here to options. And I always turn enable sync on, because what that does is that tells the device that if you're offline, continue to hold all that data until we get back into self-service. So I always turn it on, because if I turn some of them on and some of them off, there's too much mental gymnastics there. So I just always turn it on. And then analyze. What this is going to do is, this is a Python script probably, because I noticed there's a couple pieces in here that don't work if you don't have ArcGIS Pro on your computer. So what this is this is doing the analysis on your survey. And it looks like we have one informational piece that we could check out. We can still publish it with that. But just for today, I'm going to show you what that looks like. Just come over here and click on that link. And that's going to give you a new spreadsheet, and it's going to tell you what the problem is. So the information is that the LinkedIn note question has a value in the name column. And I do that on purpose so that you can see how that works out. If you come back to your spreadsheet and come down to this here, the note, you'll notice that the one below it does not have doesn't have anything in it. And that's because the newest versions of Survey123, if you don't put anything in the name field, then it won't create an attribute field in ArcGIS Online. In the old days, you could put text in here and scroll all the way over. I might have deleted this last week. I did. Okay, so in here somewhere, there is the ability to put null. We will look at that when we get to the repeats. And then I'm going to hit save. Okay, so now we can go back to publish. Let me make that bigger. We did our analyze. We can do it again. But I also want to tell you that you want to come back to options, because now that we updated everything, options has cleared itself out. And now we need to turn on enable one more time. We can still just go through the whole process. We cleared everything out. If you do everything the same every time, then you don't have to think about how did I do that and, you know, do I need to do that? Just do it all the same all the time, and then you don't have to do so many gymnastics in your mind. And then hit publish. And what this is doing is it's creating a lot of pieces in ArcGIS Online. It's going to create the map layer. It's going to create a view of the hosted service. It's going to create the hosted service itself, the form, the web form, all of that. This is where we start to get into the GIS universe. Now we can play just like everybody else does. All right, so I'm just going to make this small, make this one small, because now we're going out to ArcGIS Online. Does everybody have ArcGIS Online abilities? Can you get in there? Okay.
Yeah.
And then, okay. And then do you both have ArcGIS Pro on your computer?
I do.
Okay, perfect. Then we can go through the whole process and you can follow along. Okay, so go ahead and go into ArcGIS Online. And go to your content. And if you have all your content and it's filtered to the most current, you're going to see it right here up at the top. But you're also going to see it inside. It makes its own folder. So if you come in and you say, let me see what the date is, 02/02/26, it'll pull up those. Let's see, family address book. There it is. So it's going to have its own folder, which is really great, that it puts everything in its own folder so that we don't have to do that extra step. Just know that as you're building out your experience builders and your dashboards, web apps, whatever you're putting together, just make sure that it points to this folder so you can keep everything really clean. And then what we want to do is we want to share everything. So you can share these three, but if you wanted to share it publicly, just make sure you do your hosted view and not your hosted, because you want to keep all your hosted data safe. We don't make that public. So I'm going to say everyone. I'm going to say save. Okay, so I need to first go into, let's see, share publicly. First turn on the public data collection on the settings tab in the layer item. So what we're going to do is go ahead and do that first. Go into here. This is your hosted view. And we need to turn on public if you're going to do public. And you would go in here to settings. And see here it says public data collection right here. And we can turn that on. And now we can go back. Forms, map, hosted view, and share. All right, I'm going to say okay. Okay. So the text that came up said we're going to, the edited version, that would be your hosted layer. So it didn't change it. So or you can share it with your groups, all of that. So we did our public data collection. Now, remember I told you that Survey123 is kind of outside of the GIS universe. Well, there's one more place we need to go before we can really share this. You need to go to this 9 dots up here at the top. And then Survey123 is probably down here somewhere. Just grab it and bring it up to the top if that's what you're going to use most of the time. And then go ahead and click Survey123. And this is all your surveys. You can also come over here and you can see your favorite surveys or ones you own, things you can submit to, all of that. So for today, we're just going to grab all of them because ours is going to be the first one. Now what we want to do is I'm going to take you through each of these little icons at the bottom. So this one here, because we built it in Connect, we don't want to change anything in here. And it tells us, it says editing is not fully supported because we built this in the other platform. And then collaborate, click in there. And these are also up here at the top. Now what you're going to find is here, we're going to have a link. But what you actually want to do is you want to hit these buttons to figure out what do you want your end users to use. Do you want them to use just the browser? And that's great if you're doing public surveys. Do you want the software to ask, do you want to be in the browser or do you want to be in the field app? Or do you just want them in the field app? So if you are doing inspections for the city and you only want your city users who have logins to be using this, you're probably going to want to use the Survey123 field app directly. That keeps all the riffraff out. But, you know, since I'm doing this public, just a little more caveat to that is if you're really going public and, you know, maybe this is something so that you're doing an inspection for graffiti and you need the public to tell you where the graffiti is, you may not want to give them the option because that could be confusing. So you just got to know who your end user is. And do you want to just give them just what they need? Or do you want to give them the option? For me, if people don't know what the survey is about, I'm not going to give them the option. I'm just going to say, hey, go here to the browser. And then right here, once you figure that out, you can see how the link actually changes. What you can do is you can copy the URL here. You can do the QR code for this one here, or you can open the survey in a new window. And so that's what this would look like. But we have a few more things we need to do. Just double check that it says who can submit, everyone public, or whoever your members are. What can they do? Add new records or new and now this one is not a repeat, so we only want them to add new records. And then just so that we can go through all of the pieces, we have share results. Who do you want to be able to see the results? Do you want everyone to see it? Or do you just want members of your organization? And then what can they do? All the records or just their own? You know, we're just kind of dialing in what the end users can do. And this one is for everybody who can see it, see the results. Who can update who can update the survey? I don't have anything in here. Sometimes folks in different organizations have pieces in here. I don't have anything set up, so I don't have anything. I don't have access to anything here. Now, before we go on, I'm going to go back to the hosted service because we didn't go through all the settings there. I just noticed. So we have our hosted service. And inside settings, we can figure out, is this authoritative or are we deprecating it? Or do you not want to delete it? That's a good one because somebody who is building out your Survey123s on Connect, they may accidentally hit the, delete Survey123 for this specific survey. And they can delete, all the pieces of Survey123, but you may not want them to delete the hosted service. And so this is a really good one if if you want to keep the data and not accidentally delete it. All right, if you keep going down, we have enable edits. We have keep track of changes, and I'm not sure why this one is turned to off, but let's go ahead and turn it on. Save, because we want to monitor that. And you'll notice enable sync, it's turned on. And that's because of Survey123 Connect. We told it to do that there. Now, editing capabilities. you can see it says delete and update. For us, the end user on the app, because this one is just one survey, it's not a repeat. They won't be going back into it. Your end users won't be going into it to update it, but we'll be going into it. You know, all the GIS folks, we can go into it and we can update it. So if you put this as yes, then we have access to that. Allow update to true curves. We're not doing anything to where we are walking a path. And when you walk a path and you want curves that are gentle, this is a good thing to turn on. But for us, we don't have that, so it's not mandatory. I would turn it off just because the software doesn't have to do all that extra data crunching. What features can an editor see? They can see all the features, or they can see just their own. And then what features can editors edit? Probably all the features. And then anonymous editors not signed in, what can they do? They can only add new features. I like that one because we don't want them touching things if they don't know what they're doing. And then when you scroll down, you see the export data here. I like to turn that on here right away. And the reason for that is someday in the future, you're going to make a dashboard or you're going to make Experience Builder and you're going to want CSV files to be downloaded. If you turn this on now, you don't have to come back and do it later when that happens. And it doesn't affect anything in a negative way if you don't have anything hooked up right now. Webhooks. We do webhooks. I do webhooks in Power Automate. We don't create them through this screen. We create them in Power Automate and then it pushes over automatically. So we don't ever have to worry about this. Then let's make sure we saved it. How does everybody feel so far? Okay. And it's all in the document. So when you actually get to it, you can go step by step and have everything. All right, so let's go back. We're gonna go back to that Survey123. Remember where we were doing collaborate and we're doing the links? Let's go ahead and take a survey so that we have some data to play with for the next steps. So I'm just gonna do open survey in a browser. I'm gonna click this new tab. And then go ahead on yours and just write some information in there. Put some funny address in there. And then that was just the zip code was kind of a weird thing that we were just adding some HTML code so you could see what that looked like. I've lived there a long time. And if there was a photo, I could take a picture, but I'm on camera over here, so I'm not going to take a picture over there. And today's date. And that funny code that we had, just remember that code, I made it so that you can type in something else. In the browser, the code doesn't quite work. So when you're using code, always double check your work. But on the apps, it does. And that's where you're actually going to need it when we're doing some inspections. And then we're going to submit. So now that that's in there, we are going to go to ArcGIS Pro and go look at our data. All right, so we're going to make a new project. And you can probably you can name it whatever you want. But for me, because I put a lot of these in here, I'm going to say family address book with the date. And that date was last week. So that is 203. 203. And then say OK. Now, does anybody not feel comfortable with ArcGIS Pro yet? Are we both good? Okay. Sometimes when I get into ArcGIS Pro with some folks, we don't have contents over here, and we don't have this catalog pane over here. And since you guys are both good with that, I'm going to just keep going and note and then figure that you both have these set up the way that you like them. All right, so now we need to go get that hosted service. So the place that we're going to go is come over here to Portal, and then it's going to kind of populate everything that you already have. And then I'm going to put the date. I'm going to put 2026 because I think I don't have so many of those. Okay, so you're going to see the family address book with that date. And what you can do is you can either double click it. No, you can double click it, and then you can come in to the layer itself, and you can right mouse click and say add to current map. Or you could also come in and grab it and drop it on your map. And it's going to look different because now you have the folder and then you have the layer. I like just the layers. So I don't know, unless I have a lot of layers inside, like the repeats, I would bring that whole folder in. So now that we have that, let's go look at that in the attribute table. And I think it's control double click. Yeah, control double click will give you your attribute table. And what we want to do is we just want to look at the very last fields. And the reason for that is we're going to go add a field in Survey123. And I want to show you that it's not going to show up here because Survey123 is outside of the GIS universe. But we're going to work on, I'm going to show you how to fix all of that. So right now we have all of our asterisks. Those are what the computer builds for us. But the last one is our version. So now what we want to do is we want to go into Survey123 Connect, and we're going to add a field. So if you open up that one, and for me, I think I closed out my spreadsheet. So double click and bring everything back to the front. And what we can do is just add something in here. We can make it a text if you want, and we're just going to say added field. Copy that over here. And I'm going to save it. And so at the very bottom, that's what it says. And then if you want to rename something, let's just rename like version number of field app. We'll just say, how about just version number? Save. And something else that's tricky are your choices. And that's not in the handout, but I should put it in there. So let's put something else in our last names, and we'll call it, I don't know, Z something. And say save. I do like what I put in the handout. I said I renamed something to the delete that said deleted on the date per Jim. So if version number wasn't important, we might say, you know, it was deleted on this day per Jim. And we might say hidden over here. Now you can see way down here, that's your version number. We're going to save it and see what happens. it hid it, and it's going to rename it. And the reason for the renaming is we want the hosted service to tell us that we deleted it. And so it just keeps your data clean. It's great for your history. So that it's kind of like chain of evidence, you know, in a case. You just want to be able to follow everything through. Because if we remove this right here, right now, it's going to remove it from your end users, but it still leaves it in the attribute table. So if we can rename it first, then we can take care of everything, clean this up later. The hidden makes it really easy. And so now you can publish it again. It's going to give you this field, this information right here. It's just telling you that it's going to add this field. And it's going to say next. And then it's going to say this one has changed. Something about this one has changed. And that's because we are changing the date. It says version name of field app. This one says, it didn't tell us what it changed it to. It just says VER. So we're going to watch that one and see what happens. Hit next. Then it's going to say we're adding that choices field. Say yes, we want that. And then go ahead and publish it. So it just kind of walks you through all the pieces that it's going to fix. I'm just make that little. Make that one smaller. I'm going to take you into ArcGIS first, and we're just going to look at the data. Let's see, where am I? I'm in the hosted service, it looks like. So here's the data, and you scroll all the way over. We want to see if those fields came in. Oh, that's funny. It does say VER. So maybe I didn't save it correctly. And then here's the added field. So ArcGIS Online has both pieces that we were looking for. And now we're going to go into ArcGIS Pro. Let's refresh it. That's that little refresh button at the bottom. Scroll all the way out. And that's what I expected. Version number didn't change, and it didn't add the new field, and your domain didn't update. So there's no ZZZ in that domain. Let's see where mine is. Last name. There's no ZZZ in here. Now the reason for that is with Survey123 data, it doesn't pull in new fields or new domains. So the way that we have to fix that is we have to go in and re-add a new hosted service. Now this should get fixed with the new version, but for now, close that one. I'm going to change the name of this so that we know what it is. When you change the name here, it doesn't change anything. It's not going to affect anything. And then we do want to control and open that up. And we're going to scroll all the way up. Now we have our version, CVER. We have our added field over here. And let's go double check. Interesting. I don't have a new domain in here, but maybe that will just populate as soon as we do a new survey. So I'm going to go do a new survey. Do a refresh. There we go. There's the ZZZ. And I'm just going to put ZZZ so I know which one I'm looking at. The city in here. Added field, put some information in and hit submit. Now when we go back into ArcGIS Pro, we can refresh. Now we have our ZZZ. I wonder if this domain updated. Okay, that looks like a bug to me. That is a bug because unless I didn't publish it correctly, but I did turn on that field. So I'm going to go double check. Publish. Yeah, it would have had that screen that came up that said it had a problem. Okay, so family last name. I'm going to have to tell that to Esri. That is not how it's supposed to happen. Sorry, folks. I'm going to come in here to data. This one. Nope. This one. Okay, it's weird. It's in ArcGIS Online, but it didn't populate. So there's a disconnect there. I have an idea. How about I'm going to save this. I'm going to bounce out and I'm going to bounce back in. Maybe it will fix itself. A little bit of troubleshooting, live workshops. That's what happens. There it is. Okay, there you go. When you bounce out and bounce back in, it shuffles everything. Maybe it was holding on to old cookies. So there you go. That's how you're going to fix that. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, the next thing is how to break your survey. We don't want to do this, but I'm going to share with you how you will break your survey. So right now we have one main survey. And say that we wanted a related table. We can come in here and we can say, add the beginning, not group, beginning repeat is what we call those. And then down here we can say ending repeat. And so this is your related table. And say for family, you wanted to get all the family members. So maybe that was that's the main information, their phone number, the household, all the main pieces. And then you might want a member. I always like to build things out in the labels first. So family member. Maybe you want, we're going to open up that video 7 document and we're going to actually import it. But for now, I'm just going to kind of give you just a couple pieces. Maybe you just want a photo and what their favorite items are. And then you need to put something up here for the repeat. And the name and the label are going to be what shows up on your hosted service. So we could call this family member. And reminder, don't put a space in here or any funny symbols. And then we could just say family. Oops. Really? Way too many things on my keyboard today. Beginning. Repeat. There you go. And then just for now, we'll just put like text, photo, we can put image and text. And we could probably not use this one, delete and say save. Row 27 has no name. Let's see. That is correct. But I'm just going to grab. This is kind of what I do when I'm in a hurry. I might just say, I might make it exactly what the label looks like. I might do camel case just to keep it a little cleaner and then say save. And then if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you see how it's a little darker gray right here? And then if this little caret, it opens or it closes. Now you can, maybe we say my husband's name, a photo, and whatever that looks like. And if I tried to publish this, you're going to get this really ugly information. And that says that anytime you see this one, you want to back away. You do not want to go forward, especially if you have live data, because what happens is if you publish this, you're thinking, everybody can still get there. No, it changes the ID number of the hosted service, and now nobody can get to that. And trust me, I did it. Luckily, we didn't have too many. I mean, the crew that I was working with, this was 8 years ago. Survey123 was in, it was fairly new. So I didn't know how all this worked, but it does change the ID number of your feature service. So you do not want to do this. It's very ugly. All right, so we're going to get out of here. That's how you break your surveys. We do not want to do that. So now, if everybody will grab that video 7, if you have enterprise, there's an enterprise version, but for the rest of us, it's just this repeat information. The reason the enterprise is in there is because enterprise needs, the name field needs to have lower cases. So that's how that works. I'm going to just download this one so I have a good one. And we're going to start all over. Day 1. There it is. Should say tour of the tabs in Survey123. We're going to go grab that file. So come over here to new survey. And then advanced template is fine. Files. We're going to go grab that one. And it should be in your download unless you put it somewhere else. And then on this one, I'm in the document and I'm just going to grab the file name. And I'm going to add the word repeat in there so that I know what it is. Repeat. And I'm going to change actually, I'm going to make this, the date is February. So that's what we're going to put in there, something like that. And then say create. And I put a note in here because last week we worked through the deliverable tab. And I just wanted to put it through here also, or let you guys know. So Survey123, we have all these tabs at the bottom. And you're going to notice that there's a few repeats in here. Now, what is a repeat? A repeat is that related table. So once we push everything to the cloud, you're going to have these extra tables. And in these tables, if you don't put a geopoint, geoshape, or geotrace inside here, it will just be a table. We found that out because the first one that I built had geopoint in the main one and then nothing in any of the other tables. And we're collecting data, and then we go, it would be really nice to have a location of each of these inspections. But we didn't build it that way. So just know that you should probably put a geo shape of some sort inside your repeats so that you can see them. Unless you really just want a table, then that's fine. But just know that it's okay to put a geo something inside of a repeat. You can only have one because that's your hosted service layer, points, lines, polygons. So you can only have one, and the software will tell you that you should only have one. Otherwise, it'll just pick the first one. We figured that out too. So your repeat, it says, all the family member information. So now, if you come over here and you can put some information in here, your phone number, there's a test one for us. Locate our home, that's your geo shape that we're going to be doing. That's a geopoint right here. Your address, city, state, zip. Remember, zips, since they're not math, we don't math with them, it's a text. And so here you'll notice it's a text. And then you see down here where it's green, I like to make sure that my repeats have a real difference in color, because then they can scroll right to it instead of, kind of figuring out where's that lighter and darker gray. So if you do that, I'm going to show you what that looks like in the service, or in the Survey123. You just scroll all the way out. Keep going. And you see here on Esri Styles, there's code there. And that says, what's my background color and what's my border color? And so you can see that there's a little tiny darker green. That's where that green comes from. Now, how did I know what this color was? Right here. This is your hex code. And if you use Chrome and you open up Chrome and you put a hex code in here, it gives you a color picker. And I love this color picker. And I think at one time I was looking for it in other browsers. I think it only shows up here. But so if you wanted something different, grab it, figure out what you like. I like bright colors, because when you're in the sunshine, the darker colors and the black text don't work very well together. So if I wanted it to be yellow, I just take that QR code or X code, and I would come over here, put that in there, and say save. That's why I like giving you a template, because there's so much that you need to learn. If I can give you a template that shows you just enough, then you can get started right away, because you already have code, and now you know what the software can do. Just a reminder, I'm not looking at you guys in Teams, so if you have a question, just don't raise your hand. Just say, hey, Michelle, and that'll get my attention. We can go forward. So now what we're doing is we're looking at all of this. Since I changed this to yellow, I should probably, just for my sanity, change this one to yellow. And then you can come down here and you can see I have cool code, and it's in its own repeat. I don't know why I would want to do that, but I did it so folks can see that you can have multiple tables that go in here. And then let's see what else we have in here. I have all
really quickly.
Yeah.
Are the colors for the cells that say begin repeat and end repeat and begin group, are those colors locked?
No, I put those in there because I needed to see them. So the way that you can do that is you can come over here to conditional formats, and you can, if you don't like them, just say clear the rules for selected cells, and it'll remove them. Good question. I put those in there because before I put the massive colors in there, I just want to see where my begin and end repeats are, because it gets really complicated when you have nested repeats. So that would be like inside this yellow area, maybe I need something in here, and maybe I need a repeat in here. Actually, let's just put this one, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we have 3, so let me insert. I'm going to grab this one just so you can see what that looks like. I'm going to Control X, which is cut, and I'm going to Control V, paste. I'm going to remove these extra spaces, delete, and say save. And you notice how I grabbed everything, all the rows. That's because you don't want to grab like the 4 blocks, or 3 blocks here, and move those, because you didn't shift anything on the far side. So just make sure you highlight the numbers over here on the side, and that'll grab everything. And so now that we've saved, now you have yellow, 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 orange right in the middle. And so that's called a nested repeat, and it's totally legal. Just know that it's going to be attached inside of inside your family members.
So are the repeats then different tables? Is that the idea?
Yes.
Okay. And then can you like auto assign, like let's say family member, like auto assign them an ID?
Yes,
Or-
you can. So a family member ID, let me write that down because that's a good one to put in here. I have some code for an ID.
And then is Excel the only format for building the database with? Okay.
Yes, unless you're going to do the browser version. But you can't, this is where you can manipulate everything really well. My husband's a photographer by trade, and so we always laughed at, when he's dialing in his camera, he can go program auto where the computer does everything. That is the browser version. It does everything for you. And then manual on his camera is this. It's you dial everything in by itself. It's really a sweet piece of software. In the future with the next generation, it's going to look like Excel, but it's actually going to be inside the GIS universe. So everything is going to be connected from the get-go. You're going to love it. And I've already played with it, so it looks and feels exactly the same. So there's no learning curve. It's just now once it's all in the same universe, now we can grab all the things that Field Maps is doing, like geofencing and all of that, which we've been waiting for. But I think once everything's in there, I think it's going to be a really beautiful piece of software. All right, so let's see what other code we have in here that we haven't talked about yet. We talked about this last week, which was the how it's going to add the 17 days. We do have some relevance in here. So if the same name is equal to no, let's do that. Is your last name the same as above? Yes, nothing happens. No, oh, we want you to put your new last name in here. So whatever that is, now we have the child's last name. And that happens a lot because I'm a stepchild. I have a different last name than my dad or my mom, my stepmom, and all of that. So this makes it so the child feels included and they don't feel like they got missed. That's how I would have felt had I not had the chance to put my own last name in there. Down here, pet. So if you have a pet, do you have a pet? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Well, since we put that cool code in here, it's way down here at the bottom. But what's your pet's name? And can we take a picture? So that's a lot of fun. Relevance are great. That's going to make sure that it tightens up what people have to do, because if it's not a smart app, people they start hating it. It's like, if I have to answer all these questions that don't make sense to me, you don't want that. You want to have smart surveys. And then if you keep scrolling, there's that null. Earlier today, I was talking about the notes. There are blanks for notes. The newest way of doing this is just don't put anything in that that name section. And then when you publish this, there is no field that goes into ArcGIS Online specifically for notes. Now, I left challenge in here because the legacy version was you could put a name in here, but you had to also do this null version. So that tells the computer that we do not need any data in there and don't put it in the cloud. So I'm going to delete both of those. And now it's going to be clean. When we publish, we won't get that error message. What else do we have out here? We already went through the background colors. Now this query, allow updates false. That means when you're in the inbox, now you may not know what an inbox is yet. Repeats are really fun because what happens is the main survey will always be the main survey, but you have an inbox that you can cycle through once you have live data in the cloud. I'll show you how to do that. But what this is going to do, this allow updates false, is going to, I'm going to double check on that only because I haven't used that one in a long time. Previous users, editing. Okay, so we don't want them to update somebody else's repeated data, but we want them to be able to see it. So if somebody goes in and they for this one, since we're doing family members, every year we want the family members to update, you know, their favorite idea, their clothes size and their pictures and things like that. But we don't want them to update anything that was done last year, but we want them to be able to see it. So that's what this is for. It's going to make sure that your end users that are going out for those inspections can see the previous inspection somebody took, but they're not going to be able to change them. All they can do is do their next survey. Now you can say true also, and that will give them the option of going through that going, oh, that was a mistake, I need to change that. But be careful with that, because they also may think that they're on the new inspection data, and they might change the old one by mistake. So what I like to do is, if there's a mistake, I have them email me and say, hey, Michelle, there's a mistake on, you know, this record, we need to change that. Then I can change it, and there are no mistakes that happen. And I think that's it. Beautiful. So what we're going to do is we are going to publish just like we did in the beginning, because I want to make sure that everything feels good to you going forward. So we're going to come over. Oh, let's do a few extra things on this one. So we have our form down here. We have our details, and you can change the titles as you want. Just know that when you publish something, whatever this title is the first time will be what you see in ArcGIS Online. But the end users will see whatever you update here. So just know that you're not going to see the newest version of whatever that title is in ArcGIS Online. So don't get scared. It's just because you don't want that data changing, but the end users will be able to see this. If we wanted a thumbnail, we can click on that and find a thumbnail somewhere. The last one we did, we put something in the media folder, so I'm just going to grab that one. But you can put whatever you want in here. If you have like Photoshop or Canva or any of those, you can download the little template that they give you, and then you can make your own little thumbnail. I like to use Photoshop just because my husband was a photographer, so I know Photoshop pretty well. And then here, this is your options. So I always say require updates to the latest version. We are going to turn on the inbox because we want to see the data in our inbox, and I'll show you what that looks like. Just know that we want to do that. This where clause is if we only want to see high risk in our inbox, because those are probably the things we need to go do inspections again. That's where you're going to put this information. And then the sent folder. Did you see this big ugly red box here? You cannot have the inbox and the sent box on at the same time. I always turn off the sent box because I don't see a reason for having that. Plus, someday in the future, if you accidentally want to turn on the inbox and your sent box is already on, the data that's in their sent box already will not come back down. It hits that sent record and they can't get back into it. So if you're going to use one or the other, just use the inbox. I always turn off my sent box just because of that one thing. In the future, I may want to put the inbox in. And if that happens, I have to go out and tell all my end users, okay, I need you to remove everything from your sent box because now we're doing something different. It's just an extra mindset that if you just do it right the first time, you won't have to correct it later. Maps. Maps are fun. You might need a specific map for whatever your project is. It gives you the Esri base map right here, but you can come over here to this base map picker and figure out what you want to use. So, you know, you might need to do imagery. There it is. That's lovely. And then media. All of these, they're going to start connecting once you publish. Like this linked content, as soon as you publish, there's going to be things that are going to start populating here, like that map that it made. Scripts, this is for your JSON files. Schema, and this one, I don't use any of those, but they're there in case you do need them. Anybody have any questions before we publish?
but you're building your tables in Excel,
Mhm.
and then you're manipulating them in this page. Is that the idea?
They are both the same.
Okay.
They both talk, they handshake with each other.
Okay.
These two here, they're handshaking. So as soon as I change something, if I took this off, or well, hold on a second. Okay, version number, if I remove this and I said go, this is just the GUI. So this is what your end users are going to see. And then this back here, the Excel file, yes, that's how you're gonna build everything and manipulate it. And so down here, as soon as you save it over here, it removes it over here. So I'm gonna put it back in because I like it. And then we are going to publish it. Let's see, make that bigger. Same thing, we're gonna start all the way over to the left. We're gonna enable the sync. I'm gonna analyze, beautiful. I don't have anything that I need over there. I'm gonna publish that. And now we're going back to the day 2, or I'm sorry, video 6, how-to document that we already worked on the first time. Okay, say okay, make that smaller. I'm going to make these smaller. And we're going to open up ArcGIS Online. Okay, I'm going to go into content, and we're going to do the same thing we did earlier. We're just going to do it again so that it solidifies what we need to be doing. I was in a folder, so that's why there's only a few files in here. I'm going to go back to all my content, and you'll notice where we have all of our repeats up here. So the first thing we want to do is go into our feature layer hosted, which is this one. We're going to turn on all the pieces we need to turn on in the settings. So come over to settings. Again, if you decide you want it to be authoritative or deprecated, use those. I like those because now that we're years and years into ArcGIS Online, it's nice to be able to figure out which ones are old and which ones are new. So I started just making sure that we did authoritative to anything that was authoritative. And then in the next 3 or 4 months, we're going to go in and start looking at the ones that don't have authoritative and see if we need to deprecate them. Deletion management, again, turn that on if you don't want somebody to accidentally delete your hosted service. And for us, for me, I'm going to do public data collection, so I'm going to turn that on. Enable editing is on, keeping track of the editing is on, but this one right here is off. So make sure you turn that one on. It'll save your sanity. And then down here, I like that we do not let them delete, but the updates is turned on. Allow true curves. We're not walking anywhere, so I'm just going to turn that one off. All the rest of them are good. And then I like to turn on export data so that in the future, I don't have to do that. And I say save. And then we want to go into those 9 dots. And Survey123 is probably down here somewhere. If you just drag it all the way up to the top. These are like the ones that you're going to use all the time. So click that Survey123. And you'll see we have 2 of them. That's because this is the one we did last week. And then this one here is the one we're going to use. And so here down at the bottom, you have this one is for editing in the browser. But since we did Connect, we do not want to use that one. This one here is our Collaborate. That's where we're going to get the links for to share with people. This one is Analysis, and that's going to tell you if you have 1,500 records, you know, when was the peak hours and some of the data that goes behind that. Then you have your data, and then you have a little star for if it's your favorite one. So we're going to start here with Collaborate. And we talked about this earlier, but you have a few different options. Is it just, are we just going to use the browser? Are we going to give them the option of the browser or the Survey123 field app? Or do we just want them to use the field app? And I came up with a better idea to tell you how to do this better. The browser version directly is great for public surveys, things that you have a company and you need the public to go out and tell you if there's graffiti or a pothole and things like that. That's where you're going to use that one. This one here, open a survey in the browser or field apps. This is great if you're at the Esri conference and you know that they know what they're doing and they know if they already have the app on their phone. This is a good choice. If it's just public people, they may get confused on which one they need to use. So I wouldn't give them the option. And then you have open the survey in the field app directly. That is for you have a field crew that's going out. They all have their own AGOL accounts. And so you want them to use the field app. For us today, since I'm doing public, I'm just going to use this first one because we want to create at least one record so that we have information that we can play with for the next steps. And so here you're having your copy your URL. That's great if you need to put it on a flyer or on a website. This is the QR code. That's going to make sure that folks can, you know, if you're putting that on a flyer. If you are putting something on a website, a flyer with a QR code, make sure you put the QR code and a link that they can click into, because if they're on their phone, they can't do the QR code while they're using their phone on a flyer. But if you give them the link, at least they have both options. That's something I've learned along the way. Makes people much happier. And then this third one, that's going to open it up in a new tab. And then we're going to say, you know, we go in and put whatever you want in here. Make sure you have your location, whatever that is. Family photo date, that's fine. Is my last name the same as above? Yes or no, whichever one. The grade, so the reason behind this is because my mom and I scrapbook, and we wanted to make sure we could push this out to all of our family members and get all their information. We usually do this after school starts or after school ends, because all of our birthdays, we have like a month of birthdays in August. So if we can get all this information, then we can have from August through Christmas where they're probably going to have the same shirt size and they're all these different things that we need to buy gifts for them. That's why this all came up. So, you know, you just put whatever all this information is, snacks, t-shirts, do you have pets? Yes or no? And that, remember, we put the cool codes in between. If they do say yes, the pet's name is all the way down here at the bottom. And just a reminder, your code sometimes doesn't work in the browser, so always test your work. Photo of your pet, take a vertical photo of your family member. And I like to tell people exactly what kind of photo I want them to take. Like this one says, hints, flowering bushes or at the park with a lot of colors makes great photos. Don't take a photo with the trash can in the frame. I have a picture my husband took with me. We were at the beach and I was smelling a flower. And it was a great picture, but there was a trash can right behind me. And so I go, I need to tell somebody, make sure and it's just something to keep them focused. For folks that are going out into, like I do fire footprints, and we need to take pictures with some kind of a long-standing monument. Maybe it's a grouping of rocks, or trees are hard because after a fire, a lot of those trees are going to be downed. So you got to make sure to tell them exactly what you want them to do. And then once we're all done, we hit the submit button. And it worked. That's always a good sign. And now we can go back to, I'm going to show you the data inside this Survey123 here. So you see your 9 dots. If you click over to Survey123, and then you're going to go to, I'm going to click on this analyze so that you can see a different flavor of what we did from this morning. So you're going to get all your answers. This is that analyze page, and it's just outside the, it's everything that comes with the software. So family name, you know, how many do I have? It's also going to give you a number. And then it's going to give you a word cloud, which is a lot of fun. Head of household, you know, how many had this last name, or head of household, how many were here? Family phone numbers. For us, this really doesn't make a lot of sense for this survey, but when you start doing your inspections, it'll make more sense. Now that we've seen that, we can go over here to data. Data's better for us. We like data. That's going to be your, this is all the data we've collected so far in the app. And there's a few things that you can do before it's in order to get it so that you can filter it and things like that. But you'll notice there's 2 tabs. There's your main survey and there's your family members. So right up here, you can see how it says filtered by submittal dates. And you can fix this. There's a couple different places you can go. We've only got one record, so it's not going to make any sense to us. And then filter. We can filter by all the fields. So maybe you needed to know everybody who was in a specific city, and then you can put that in. So the expressions are really easy. You can add an expression afterwards. And I think you can just click and or, and it'll change that really quickly for you. I'm going to delete that for now and close. And then you have reports. So I do a class on feature reports. That's what this is all about. And you can also export things over here. And you can open it in Map Viewer. I've never opened my stuff from this way from Map Viewer. So there you go. And then if you click on a record, you can see what it looks like over here. And you can just kind of go through it. It'll show you pictures if you have pictures in there. And when you want to filter and things like that, sometimes this gets really heavy. So I just turn it off. Form view, just turn that off, and it removes it from the side panel. And then you can just, you know, do your filters and reports and all of that. All right, I think that's it. We've done all of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that into ArcGIS Pro. Now this is the one we did this morning. I'm going to close some of these. We can put it right on top of this one. I'm going to close this one too. Okay, everything is clean. So we can come to Portal. And we can put today's date, and that should give us 2026. Actually, might give us exactly what we need. There you go. So we have the one with the repeats. And earlier I showed you that you can right mouse click this one and add to current map. And that's going to put the whole folder here. So there's the folder, and then there's the 2 pieces that are inside. And again, I don't have cool codes in here, so maybe I broke something. I'm going to just go double check. Oh, it was a beginning group. It wasn't a repeat. That's why. Okay. So what happened was I was thinking it was a repeat, but it's a group. So it's not seeing it as a separate table. It's just the same table. Good to know. All right. So it was me. So yes, you can pull that whole folder in, and then you'll have all your pieces. And if you want to, you can see how there's a point, and then there's the table, because we didn't have a geo anything, a geo shape inside the family members. So that's your table. And so if you hit Control and double click that table, the first, the one that says repeat, you're going to get all of the repeat, and then you can come back over hit Control and double click, and you're going to get that second one. And so you can come in here and you can look at it and see what happens. And I'm going to come back over to Teams. How do we feel about that? So we have 30 minutes. How about, let me do one thing. I'm going to get the code for, we're going to add a field. We're going to do all of that, but we're going to add a field and have that the ID, because I think it was Britt that wanted, how do I add an ID? So let's do that. I'm gonna go grab my code real quick. I have a toolbox of all the code for the last 8 years that I've used. And so I like going in there and I just grab it. All right. Now this is a bonus question. So this is really difficult. So what I want to do is I want to show you how we do it and what I figured out when we had to do this. So when you have a unique ID number, we wanted to pull the unique ID number that we created in the main survey. We wanted to pull that into the related table. When you pull a live piece of code from the main survey into a repeat, it might change. So we figured out, and it did change. So we figured out how to fix that. We flattened it. So you don't want to pull something live into a repeat. You want to pull something that's flattened. So let me show you what that means. So right here we have the project number. I just auto-populated it with the word fire. Project name was trans, and because we were doing transmission lines, and then contractors that I put myself. And if there was a laydown yard, because this is a fire footprint that we're going out and we're doing all this information. And if there was a laydown yard, we needed the unique ID to be different. So right now it's pulling fire, Jedi, and these last 5 digits. And you can see how I formatted it: fire, electric line, name, and unique identifier. Well, we didn't, you know how the unique identifier has like 12 or 16 letters and numbers? It's just a big, huge unique, it's that big long number. Well, we only wanted like 5 digits of that. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. So I said read only, and I said yes to the unique ID. Then for defaults, we put some default information in there. And then we had a piece of code. And so the code is if the string length means it has to have a specific amount of information. Oh, here it is. If the laydown yard, if it was greater than 0, then we just needed the fire and what the laydown yard's name was. Then if it wasn't that, then we need to concatenate the fire, the electric line, and the unique ID one time. And we wanted it to be 5 characters long. Now that's a little complicated, but it does the work. So let me show you again now that you've seen that. So we have fire, trans, and Jedi, fire. And it's so fire and electric line. Okay, so looks like my hint is a little different, so we'll have to fix that. But and then the unique ID way back here. Now, if I put in a laydown yard, Rhodesfield, I don't know, whatever that looks like, then we only want to see the project name, which is fire, and then the name of the laydown yard. So what I'm going to do is, does this make sense with your backgrounds? Does this make sense how I got here? Or is it a little overwhelming? Okay, a little. I can make it, let me make it a little less cumbersome. How about, Britt, since this is something you want to do, what would your code look like? Do you have an idea?
Yeah, so my survey is going to be ideally, well, for my MIP, it's going to be about like tree planting. So
Okay.
and I'm having like Girl Scouts plant trees with business partners. So it might
I
be
love
like
that.
the Girl Scout, if this were a planting table, it might be like the Girl Scout troop number that planted it, their business partner, and then I don't, maybe the tree type, although that could be repeated. So I'm like, what would my unique ID be? I don't know.
So probably you would, when you do your tree plantings, are they going to have like a little something that's wrapped around them to identify what their number is or something?
Yeah, that would probably be good.
Okay, so they have those little bands, and one has a hole in it, and one has like a finger, and it's just it's a band.
Yeah, I used to work for the Wildlands Conservancy, and whenever we did plantings, you would stake it with a rod, and on that rod, you would ID that specific plant. That way, you can monitor it over time. And so, by putting the IDs on specific plantings, you can still track those, and that can serve as your unique ID.
Get 100 pre-designed QR codes, and then you just wrap those around one of the branches. And then when they do their survey, they can scan the QR code to that planting, and it would have a location. So we're thinking, instead of fire, troop number,
Mm-hmm.
and then business partner. Partner, and then some kind of, maybe the barcode number. Something. And then we don't need a lay down yard. I'm going to leave it in there just for now, but I'm going to show you what I just did. I left the names exactly the same. Let's see here. Did I save? So now the troop number is whatever that number is. The business partner is, I don't know, cookies. I don't know. And then the barcode, you could put code. There you go. See if I have a barcode in here. I do. I have a barcode, and that's going to be the barcode scanner. I'm going to say save. So now we have a barcode number. Right now it says Jedi, so I probably should take that out. Save.
Is there a way for each entry it just randomly assigns an ID number that's unique?
There is. Now, depending on how you want to do that, if you don't want to tag the trees while they're doing the surveys, it can give those last 5 digits of the unique identifier. That's how this is working out.
Okay.
So you have your troop number, you have your cookie people, and then you have your barcode, whatever that looks like. And then you hit enter, and there's a lot of numbers in there. Okay, so you have your troop number for this one, and then you have your barcode, and we don't have anything back here. So I need to fix this just so that you can see what is actually happening here. So auto-populate is going to be troop number. The 6, that's the barcode. And unique identifier. But we do need to add and let's do okay, so we need to add the business partner in here. I'm not going to do all of this for you. So I'm going to give you the code. I'm going to let you figure out how to get this code because I've given you almost everything you need. We're pretty close, but you do need to add a little bit of information here to calculation because now you want that business partner in here. So just follow the code. And what I would do is I would copy this one somewhere else. So you have a good one. I would actually copy this in here somewhere. Because just for a reminder for last week, the computer only reads this top line. So if you want to save the code, then you can come back in here and play with it without messing it up. Anything that's after concatenate, all of this part here is what you're going to be playing with. Leave the laydown yard in case you ever need it. No, it's not going to, you can even hide it here. But if you ever need it, it's a really sweet piece of code. And then here, you're looking at this information here. And you can change that, but just make sure as soon as you change fire here, you want to make sure to change it here. And then you're going to try and add that business partner in here and see how it works. So you see here at this part right here, this once, and that it says UUID with the brackets. That's that whole big long unique identifier number, but we're only taking the last 5 digits. So that's where that's coming from. That's giving you that unique identifier. We put 5 because most likely it's not going to duplicate. So we left it with the last 5. And then what we did is we flattened it. And the reason for the flattening is if you want to pull that into a repeat, you want to pull the flat version into the repeat. You don't want to pull the live version, which is this one here, because those last 5 digits, when they go into a repeat, they're going to match the first day, but they're not going to match anymore. So if you're going back and you're doing surveys on that one tree over and over and over the lifespan, you want to make sure that you have that unique ID is the same. Going forward. I'm going to email all of you and give you that code. So you don't have to start from scratch. You'll have a pretty good place to start. So this is the one that you're going to use. So they're $15 each session. The next one we're going to do is the AI, and that's going to be the first Tuesday of next month. So play with this, get your survey the way that you want it, and then come back. And when we do, what we're going to do is we're going to use AI to make it better. So kind of figure out what you want to do. We're going to use AI the next time. That's going to be the first Tuesday of next month. Then we're going to do grid themes. That's if all your users are using iPads, then you use the grid themes because it's like a newspaper. And if you're buying advertisement in a newspaper, there's cells that go wide and there's cells that go down. That's a lot of fun. And then we'll do feature reports, and we're going to export all of our data into like a Word document, and we do that through the Survey123 feature reports. Then we go to month 4, and that's going to be your 4th Tuesday. It's going to be automating feature reports. So once we get that feature report, now we want to automate it so that the stakeholders get it automatically when a trigger is hit. So if you high risk, things that are high risk, we want to make sure that that goes out to the field crew, maybe a specific department who's going to go out and fix that. So we send that out. And then once it's fixed, maybe we send it to the management team that says, hey, this is fixed. There's a lot of really great pieces of this automation. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then field maps to Survey123. I do that one because the field crews love field maps, but I need all the data in Survey123 because I want to do these feature reports and I want to do grid themes. I want to do all of that, but I can't do that in field maps. So I have that one. That one's the last class. You can take these classes at any time. The AI, I actually have an automation that if you want to plug that one in, then you'll get last month's recording and things like that. Grid theme, that's a really old one. So we are actually doing that one this afternoon because I need to dial that one in for all this new tech that we've got going on. And if you're with U of R, you're getting put into all the calendar invites already, and we'll take care of all of that on the back end.
Should we start trying to build now our own Survey123 to come back with?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Actually, if you have a minute, I have a quick like troubleshooting issue.
Okay. Sure.
I noticed today when I came in, I wasn't able to, if I tried to open a file from like my desktop, Survey123 was crashing.
Okay. What kind of file were you trying to pull? You want to show me? We can show your
I'll
screen.
actually join from my desktop so I can share. So when I go in and I try to open from a file, it opens this, but then it crashes.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. So open up Connect one more time.
Okay.
I want to see how old it is.
The version?
Uh-huh. Ah, you're right. It's all good. Okay, you should be okay. I think I would probably check your updates
Okay.
and see if if you've got updates for, Microsoft or anything, just
Okay.
run the whole thing and see if you have updates, and then shut your computer down and pull it back up because it shouldn't do that.
Right. Okay. But yeah, I think I'm okay to go through this recording on my own just to kind of get everything, but everything seemed pretty straightforward for the most part, but I have your email if I have any questions.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you very much, Anna, and thank you, Jorge, for showing up. Do you have any questions?
And I was messing with the fly log survey. It was tricky. I know. I was putting space in certain words, and it was just trying to remember not to put any. But I did get I know it's a lot of info but I think I will do the same. Just kind of go to the video and play by one because I know it's a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And then if I have any question, I'll reach out to you, and then I'll look into the other classes and stuff. So
okay, beautiful. It'll be fun because now the three of you can kind of walk through. I think there's a couple more people that they're probably going to watch the video, but you guys will go through like a cohort. So you'll kind of feed off of each other and you'll be able to help. But what's fun is as we get going, somebody's going to go, oh, I've done that, or I have a QC question, and then we'll go through it, and you guys will start going, oh, I think you should do it this way, or would you like to do it this way, kind of thing. And it's fun to watch how all that works out as you get better at your craft.
Awesome. Sweet. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful day.
You too. Bye-bye.